Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day and welcome to Write with Love. Today on the show I'm chatting to Louise Guy. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah. So I'd love if you could tell us about yourself and your writing journey so far.
Sure. Well, I've been writing for about 14 years, but prior to writing, I've just been an avid reader. Absolutely loved reading from being a small child right through to now, where I still devour as many books as possible. And I guess in the back of my mind, there was always this: one day I'm going to write a story. I loved writing at school. I did very well with my the English side of things with school. And in about 2004 or 5, my husband and I went on a trip around Australia. We left Melbourne, we packed up and we travelled around the country for about 12 months. In point of fact, we never went back to Melbourne, so I guess you could say we're still on that trip. But as we went around the country, I started forming an idea for a story. And I think at the time I'd been reading a lot of Mary Higgins Clark just back to back. So, of course, the story was going to be something that was more of a thriller than what I write now, I guess. And we stopped up in Port Douglas for about 3 months on our trip. We decided we were seeing so many wonderful things and getting a bit blasé. And I sat down and decided I'd write this book, and I did. So I wrote my first full-length, I guess, adult fiction book in about 6 or 7 weeks, having had no writing craft or workshops or done anything at all. And, I thought it was pretty good. And then I wrote another one because I figured it was really just a hobby, and we were still travelling. By that stage, we'd actually travelled down to Noosa, and we decided to stay here for a few months. In fact, we never left. But and I wrote another one then. So it was really a hobby. And over the next few years, I did the second book I actually submitted to publishers. I found out very quickly that it would be a good idea to learn the craft of writing. So I did. I went off and did some courses through the Australian Writers Centre in Sydney. And by this stage, I was actually moving my writing more into women's fiction, which was something that I really loved. However, I thought at the time that I was writing chick lit. So I went off down to Sydney and did a 3-day or 2-day, I think it was, writing course down there on chick lit, and in the first couple of minutes of the course found out very quickly when they gave the definition of chick lit that that's not what I was writing at all. I actually moved my writing into women's fiction. So over the next few years, I basically joined an online writers group and just, again, learnt more about the craft of writing and honed in on my writing skills. And we're probably travelling along now to about 2013, 14, and I had my first women's fiction book done and ready to submit, and I submitted that one off to publishers. And at the same time, I had a son who was moving from he was moving out of grade 2 into grade 3, where no longer doing readers, and he was not very keen on picking up books. So at that stage, Minecraft was a huge thing, still is now, but it was much bigger at that stage, and that was his main obsession. So I thought, while my book was off with publishers being, hoping to be picked up, that I would write something that would star him and that he might actually pick up and read. So I had this idea to write this Minecraft book, which I did, and that turned into a much bigger project, as I was told that 100 million people played Minecraft and I should be writing it for more than just him. So I thought, well, that's a really good idea. At the same time, in the sort of background, I was spending time with writers who were self-publishing, and I found that a really interesting idea. Having come from running my own business and having a marketing background, I quite liked having full control. And probably about this time, my first book was rejected by publishers too, and I found the whole process really frustrating, I guess, that they have the book for a very long time, and then you might just get back, a few lines saying we're not interested. So I decided to give self-publishing a go using the kids' books, the Minecraft books, because I thought that way they'll get out quickly and, see how they go. So that was really thinking about the bigger picture, I suppose, that I would perhaps like to self-publish my women's fiction at some stage. So I thought, well, I can, use these books as a bit of a trial, a bit of a test, see what things will go wrong so that I'm setting myself up for the main event, the real thing I wanted to do. As it turned out, the Minecraft books had a much bigger audience than I'd expected. They got picked up in Australia with distribution, they got picked up internationally, and they suddenly became a much bigger thing and meant that I really needed to write more because it didn't make sense not to, basically. They were providing an income which I was able to use some of to put back into my women's fiction for editing and things like that, which is quite expensive when you're going to the bigger books. And also, I had this readership really growing with the Minecraft books. What I found, though, was I'd written, probably 8 or 9 Minecraft books, and they really weren't what I wanted to be writing. I hadn't set myself up to be writing, adventure stories about a video game. But I thought, I've got this great audience of children, so maybe I should write something else for the kids' market. So I spoke to my younger son at that stage. Jamie was probably, about 6 or 7, and said, well, what would you like in a book? And he was busy, making potions in the sandpit, and everything had to be potions and experiments. So he wanted a book that had potions and magic in it. So I wrote this book called The Secret World of Curly Jones it's full of magic and adventure. And somebody said to me after they read it, I think they'd had to read all the Minecraft books to their kids, and they'd read those, and then they read Curly Jones, and the lady actually said to me, she said, I think your brain exploded when you wrote that. It's like you no longer have these restrictions of the Minecraft world. It was just so full of colour and adventure and fantasy. And so I loved writing the Curly Jones books, and I wrote another one as well, but they didn't have the Minecraft, hook as far as Minecraft basically selling you books. So I stopped after 2 of those and put my attention back to what I really wanted to be doing in the first place, which was my women's fiction. So I wrote 3 women's fiction books, which I self-published, the first one in 2017. Actually, I published 2 in 2017 and a third in 2018. So that's pretty much where I am at the moment, and my focus is now really shifted back to the women's fiction. My own kids are a little bit older than that's certainly older than the Minecraft age of books, and at this stage I'm just going to stick with the genre that I love and want to continue writing. Yeah,
fantastic. So how many Minecraft books did there end up being in total?
There ended up being 10.
10?
So there were 9. I said originally I was going to write 6 and self-publish in that first year. So I did. I got 6 out between April and September, I think it was, of 2015 when they were first released. And then I wrote another 3. The 9th book was called The End, because in the Minecraft world there is a place called The End, and I thought, well, that's a fitting way to end the series. But then I was actually convinced to write another one, so there became a Minecraft special edition number 1 with the potential to write more, but then I drew the line and went, no, I don't want to be, as much as I love the characters in these books, what I do like about them is you don't have to necessarily be a Minecraft player or fan. They are an adventure story about a group of 4 children, so I grew to love in them. 2 of them were the boys were based on my own boys, but I also decided, I don't want to keep writing these, so I'll move on to something else.
Yeah, fantastic. And so they were actually contracted by Scholastic, weren't they? How did that kind of deal come about?
To be honest, it was really a really lucky situation in that when I first self-published the books, there was a company or a guy in Australia doing these Minecraft camps. They were basically like a school holiday program where your kid could go along for the day, and I guess they just played Minecraft, or he taught them, I don't know, he taught them things, he did something, but it was quite a big thing that he had going. And I contacted him I saw he had this massive Facebook group, so I thought I'll contact him and see if we can, he might want to do some kind of deal, and perhaps if he likes the books, he could recommend them to his people and do something. So I'd contacted him, and he said great. So we struck up a bit of a deal, and he started promoting my books through his Facebook group and through his camps, and that was prior to the first Christmas of the books being released. And I think he put one Facebook post out on a sort of at the end of the November before Christmas, and we had something like 700 orders, a lot of them for the full 6 books of the set come in over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So we're busy, packing books. But because he'd made such a big name for himself, he got an email out of the blue from Scholastic saying, was he the author of some Minecraft activity book? Yeah. And he went back to them, and this was Scholastic in New York who'd contacted him, and he went back to them and said, no, I'm not the author of that book, but in my opinion, the best Minecraft books on the market are these ones written by Louise Guy. And he copied me in on the email and had all the Scholastic details there, and I thought, oh, that's, really nice. And I sort of sat there and thought, oh, should I contact Scholastic? And I thought, oh, I'll leave it for the moment because I'll just wait and see what happens. And sure enough, about 2 days later, I got this email from this vice president of one part of Scholastic saying, hi, Louise, are you the author of this Minecraft activity book that they're looking for? And I was like, damn, why didn't you, say to me, we'd like to see your books. Anyway, it turned out whoever had written this Minecraft activity book couldn't be contacted. So I did they didn't have a website, they didn't have anything obvious. So I did a bit of research myself and found a Twitter handle for them. So I thought that gives me a good excuse to contact this guy at Scholastic. So I just emailed him back and said, no, I'm not the author of this activity book. Here's the guy's Twitter handle. Hope that helps you. But I am the author of, at this stage, 6 Minecraft activity books. Minecraft adventure books. Would you be interested in having a look? And this was I got a response from him on a Friday saying, yes, we'd love to have a look at them. We're reviewing this line next week in New York. Could you have the books to us on Monday? Went, oh, my God, how do I do that? So luckily, having self-published was really lucky because it meant that I was able to organise through Amazon in the US to do an express, sort of courier to Scholastic in New York. So they did get there on the Tuesday, and by the end of that week I had an email back from them saying, we love them, we'd like to contract the first 2 books for our schools book club market in the US, Canada and the Philippines. Would you be interested? So it was a very lucky situation.
Yeah, that is so cool. Wow. And did you get into the Australian book market, the book clubs as well at all?
Not Scholastic. I did with the Red Gum Book Club. They were really great, and they were very supportive of Australian authors. Yeah. And I also had distribution through the Australian bookstores with an Australian distributor for the Minecraft books. So they did actually get into the bookstores, but not Scholastic here, no.
Yeah, right. Well, I remember we don't live too far away, and I've known you for about 2 years now. So I went into the library at school here in Mullaney and do you have these books? You need these books? Yes, we have those books. And they're always on reserve. So they're always being borrowed. So that's fantastic. Well, congratulations. That's a real achievement on a book you weren't even really planning on writing. I love the origin story.
That's a real take that I'm realising from my own writing career now, that various things happen that you don't even expect, and if you go with it, you don't know then where it's going to end up with other things. So, and that gave me a great experience of having distribution, having the book club deal, having all of that. Again, I guess setting myself up for what might happen with the women's fiction down the track.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So you wrote Everyday Lies, which. No way, I should let you tell this story. So which book did you write first? The women's fiction.
Yeah, I actually wrote Fortunate Friends first, and that was the one that I submitted as my first submission to publishers. I ended up, while that was out being submitted, I was doing the Minecraft books, but I also wrote Everyday Lies, and I didn't actually, I'd sort of got a little bit, even though I didn't do a lot of submitting, just even with the experience with Fortunate Friends, I decided that I probably didn't want to go down that path again. I'd already self-published the Minecraft books and could see, that you could do things quite successfully. So I wrote Everyday Lies, and I decided that I was going to release that one first, partly because I just really liked the cover. I mean, it was based on nothing else other than I had 2 books ready to go. There's a character in Everyday Lies that I love, and I just thought for my first book that I put out there, I'll choose that one. So it wasn't really, I could have flipped a coin, to be honest, as both books were ready, but I actually decided to to get Everyday Lies out first, even though I wrote it second.
Excellent. So tell us about Everyday Lies. What's the story about?
Everyday Lies is the story of two women. They're strangers who meet in, unexpected circumstances. They've both basically done something that's put them in a position where they're having to do some community service, and that's where they meet. So the story really, it is about the lies that we tell that are often small lies, or that we're lying perhaps to protect somebody, or even lying to ourselves, or just, it's okay that we have that one glass of wine a night, or maybe even the second one. We don't have a problem. All of those sorts of things. They're things that I'd heard come out of different friends' mouths from here and there, and not all of them, I should say, because if you do read it, there are some slightly bigger lies there, but they're things that, they're kind of everyday things, and it looks at how they impact our relationships and our families and ourselves, more importantly. But the women form quite a special friendship through the way that they meet. It brings in a third character, an elderly character also in the community service area, who has a big impact on their lives as well. So I can't, it's like any book, you don't want to say too much and spoil the storyline, but it is a story about, I guess, friendship and family, and most importantly, what we tell ourselves and what we need to do to move forward for ourselves and really help ourselves be better people, but also enjoy our lives more.
Yeah, and I've heard your books compared to books written by Liane Moriarty, so that must be pretty cool when you get compared to someone like that.
That's very cool. Yeah, very. That's when I have had various reviews or feedback along that line, I'm like, wow, okay, that's that's very special. So hopefully that will continue with the books that I keep producing. So
that's it. And are you a fan of Liane?
I am, I definitely am. So I've had the opportunity I was very lucky a few years ago that I actually had a chance meeting with her, which was actually at the J in Noosa. She came, must have been when Big Little Lies had been out, and she was just signing her deal with Nicole Kidman to make the series, and she was doing a part of the Noosa Long Weekend Festival that they have. She was doing an event there, and I turned up about an hour earlier to meet another author friend at the event, and my friend had driven up from Brisbane, and she'd just gone off to use the ladies, actually, and I was just standing there. There was nobody else there at all. There was nobody at the J, and Liane Moriarty walked in because she was a bit early, and she just stood there because there was no one to greet her. Yeah. There was no one at the event at all, and I'm standing there thinking, oh my God, what do I do? So I thought, I can't not, take advantage of this opportunity, and I went over and said hello and introduced myself. And I wasn't actually even going to mention that I was a writer. It wasn't about that. I mean, I'm a huge fan of hers, and at that stage I was just about to publish the Minecraft book, so I didn't actually have any women's fiction out or anything. I certainly wasn't going to do that. Oh, hi, I'm writing too, and it's, we've got a completely different league. But as I was talking to her, my friend came over, and the first thing that came out of my friend's mouth was, so has Louise told you about the Minecraft book she's writing? And I wanted to curl up and die on the spot. It's like, it's not what I want her to know that I do. But it turned out her son was probably about 8 at the time, and she couldn't believe it. She's like, oh, my God, if George knew that these books are being written. So anyway, we had a quick bit more of a chat, and I said to her, well, I'd be happy to send, your son some copies if you'd like. So I did. As each book came out, I'd emailed her, and I couldn't believe it. She sent me her address, which I'm like, surely it would have to go through security or something. so I sent the books off each time. I released another one. I sent one off to him, and when she released Truly Madly Guilty, which would have been, I guess, the next book after Big Little Lies, I received a copy in the mail with a beautiful letter from her just thanking me, saying how much George had enjoyed the books, and that they were his favourite books at that time. I'm sure he's outgrown them now. It was probably, that's one of my absolute highlights. I have this note from Liane Moriarty pretty much framed.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Well,
it's completely going off from you saying but my Liane Moriarty story. So
we've got to share. If we've got a Liane Moriarty story, we've got to share it. So that's really cool. And so the last book that you have had published, the most recent one, was called A Life Worth Living. So tell us about that one.
Yeah, A Life Worth Living is the story of two identical twin sisters. They're identical in their looks, and that's all. They're very, very different people. One of the sisters is she's a mum, but she's a very distracted mum, very self-indulged mum, one who'd really, to some degree, probably should never have had children. Yet her twin sister, who is single and would kill for a family, just doesn't have any of those things. So they're sort of living almost the wrong lives as compared to what they would like. Something happens in the story. There's quite a tragic event that happens which just changes things up for them and gives one of them the opportunity to make some changes and look at possibly, I guess, living a bit more of that life that they have desired. And I really can't say anything else because it spoils the book. So it's a little bit different to my other two books in that there is this big event that happens that is life-altering and brings in a real moral issue and a moral dilemma throughout the rest of the story.
Yeah. So
it's not telling you much, but it's sort of, I guess, a domestic fiction, story of the sisters. But it's just brings in that moral and what would you do in a situation, put into that situation.
Exactly, and we love books that make you question things and think a bit deeper. So that's fantastic. Well, you've obviously been doing really well because I remember hearing that late last year you had a little bit of an announcement to share. So tell us about this.
Yes, late last year, at the end of last year, I woke up to an email. I saw in my inbox the subject line was a fan of your books, and I thought that's really nice because, we often get, nice emails from people or messages through the website saying, enjoy the book. And I opened it up and I started reading it. And I'm like, oh, hold on, this isn't from a reader. This is from one of the acquiring editors at Lake Union Publishing, who are one of Amazon's imprints. They're Amazon's book club imprint and also handle their women's fiction. And anyway, the editor had said to me she'd read all three of my women's fiction and absolutely loved them and wanted to talk to me about potentially doing something with Amazon. So a number of phone calls went to and fro over the next few weeks, and they offered me a contract to republish the three books that I'd self-published, but also to have me write two new books. So basically it was a 5-book contract, and that was all signed in mid-January. So all of a sudden I've gone from saying, yep, I'm going to 100% be a self-published indie author to, hold on, turns out I'm going to, at least have this experience for these 5 books anyway, and then see what happens after that.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. So are they going to be re-editing the books and giving them new covers?
Yes, slightly different for each book. Everyday Lies and A Life Worth Living will have a very basic copy edit just to bring it in line with their publishing house standards. Fortunate Friends is going to have a bigger edit. It's told from the perspectives of 3 characters, and we're going to look at whether that stays like that or whether it becomes 2, just to give a bit more depth to each of the individual stories. So I'm not sure about that one as yet, but the other 2 are just going to get a light edit, and then this will get a more comprehensive structural edit as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that's very exciting. I know I've said it on the show. If Amazon comes knocking, you definitely can have a big think about that one. It's not one you just automatically turn away. So,
No.
yeah. And, of course, I've had Soraya Lane, the New Zealander, on the show, and she's been hugely successful with, I'm pretty sure it's Lake Union as well on that one. So, yeah, congratulations. That is really big news, and we love hearing when indies go really big like that.
We'll see what happens over the next couple of years, I guess, to what it means as such.
Yeah, but anyone watching this as we go live in April 2019, you can still buy these books, and they are still self-published, so Louise will get all the royalties at this point.
Yes,
so.
yeah. If you think about buying them, please buy them.
Do it now.
Exactly.
And then you'll probably go and knock me off the chart again because we keep bouncing over each other in one of our categories.
I think Everyday Lies does quite well on a few of the Amazon charts, which is actually what brought the books to their attention to start with. So if you're bumping it off, then who knows, it might be your email that they're knocking on next.
That's it. So from a fan, I have to remember to write that down because I get so much spam from Amazon. Who knows? Who knows what I'm missing out on?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to be careful. You don't just go, oh yeah, whatever, and put it into the nice folder that you might have set up for, the nice emails. And saying that, I'm sure no author does, because you tend to read those and respond to them anyway. But I must say it's gone through my mind a few times of, oh my God, what if I hadn't read that?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. So what are you working on now? Is it one of these other books that you've got contracted?
Yeah, so they contracted 2 new books, and the first one is due to them 1st of June. So I'm basically just going through, I guess, a 3rd draft at the moment. So that will be going off to my early readers, my beta readers, before Easter is the aim, and to then the start of June, and then I'll get on to in theory, from May onwards, there'll be a couple of months of editing the existing books with them. So I wanted to get that one out of the way before those edits come through, and then I'll get straight on to writing the one that's it's not due to them till February, but I'd like to get that done and then be writing another one, just so I've got some books up my sleeve for when this Amazon, thing, if it continues afterwards, great, they'll have another book ready for them. But if I'm back to self-publishing after these 5 books, then I plan to have lots of books ready to go.
That's it. You don't want to get out of your routine of writing. I know how important that is. So yeah, it's fantastic. Well, where can we find you online and keep up with everything that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. Well, my website is louiseguy.com, and that's probably the best place. And I should know my Facebook. I don't think I do.
That's all good. As long as there are links from your website, that's the main thing.
I think Facebook one is Louise Guy Author. Takes me to my Facebook page, I think. Yes. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Louise. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Sarah. It's been lovely.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/sarahwilliamsauthor. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another Loved Up episode. Bye!